What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Lay of Game Season 1, Episode 20, The Average Man's Perspective on Football. I am your co-host, Marcus. Joining me on the panel tonight is Mark. Say what up, Mark.
Happy New Year.
Brian.
Happy playoffs.
Herman.
Hey.
Yeah, so Happy New Year. Before we get started, I want to encourage everyone to go over to sportsintel.net for some great commentary, some opinions on everything sports related. Once again, that's sportsintel.net. Give them the Twitter handle, Brian.
It's a delay of game 3.
Also, I want to encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to this video. Like the video, share the video with all your football friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that little button icon, little bell button icon, so you get notified whenever we go live. I think it was Brian just said, we're in the playoffs now. This when it starts to get real. Every game counts. Let's start. What's going on?
All right. And when Mark said every game counts, I mean, even last week, the games we're about to discuss right now, those games really counted. Some teams needed these games to get into this tournament. So we're going to start it off with.
Real quick, sorry. Somebody needs to move their car.
Are you serious?
Yeah, my wife got to go pick up my dog. Excuse me, y'all.
We're gonna have a brief pause. Maybe you could play some elevator.
Just go get your keys.
Maybe you can play some elevator music.
I mean,
Yeah, we'll just
while we're just waiting, we can go over a couple things because we'll probably get the resident Steelers fan out of here because we can have a quick conversation about
Let me talk.
about why they leave. There's a little incident going on with the wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The last
Antonio
game,
Brown.
Yeah, Antonio Brown. Last game of the season had some type of spiff disgruntlement with his quarterback. Apparently threw a football at his face or head. Disagreed with the coach. Felt like the coach was in too aligned with the quarterback. Then chose not to show up for practice, and then chose not to, and then was then subsequently not allowed to play in the game when everyone was saying, "quote unquote," he had a knee injury and wasn't able to play.
Left at halftime.
Left at halftime during the game.
Dressed like Nino Brown.
Yeah, not even wearing Steelers garb, wearing some fur coat thing. Kind of sad. I mean, the Steelers were like one of those franchises where you knew that they towed the line. They were right in the same breath when you talked about the Patriots, but it just seems like this year has just been a debacle. Started off with the Le'Veon mess going on with the offensive lineman, talking about Le'Veon, and it's just exploded into this. They were able to get through the game and actually get the victory, but because of another game we're going to talk about, they are no longer in the playoffs. Marcus, what do you think about this?
Well, the whole thing is just sad, really. I mean, at this point, I don't think Antonio Brown can stay in Pittsburgh. I think
He did request a trade too.
He did.
Also request a trade,
Tomlin came out today and said he didn't request a trade.
but he did it on his own Twitter account.
But also, Big Ben said they didn't get into an argument. So I mean, but
They're trying to clean up the mess.
they're trying to clear up the mess. But a couple years ago, Antonio Brown, he was the one that did Facebook Live and doing the coach's speech in the locker room, and that was a little out of hand, a little too much, and they didn't really punish him for it. So now, this is the beast that they've built, the Tomlin and the management have built. But I think they're gonna have to they got to get rid of him. I don't think you can have him on. I don't think you can have him on your team anymore. It's gone too far. He's going to be a poison, like you said, Brian. The whole it's just been a totally uncharacteristic Steelers season with the Le'Veon Bell mess, and then this Antonio Brown mess. It just doesn't sit right. I think he has to go.
I don't know. I mean, you always have these teams that have. I for one, I am not a fan of these diva wide receivers. Any diva player, in all honesty, it's a team sport. But you always have these teams that the talent outweighs the headache, I guess, for lack of
the headache outweighs talent.
Yeah, that's it. The headache outweighs. No. I mean the other way. The talent outweighs the headache.
Okay.
Yeah, meaning that we're going to overlook all of the headache because he has so much talent. These are the Steelers. They'll be in turmoil for a little bit. It's the off season. Everybody will be hugging and kissing and ready to go for next season. Antonio Brown's not going anywhere.
I go back to the saying, they say winning kills everything.
Cures
It's,
or kills?
It kills it.
Okay. It kills it or
It cures it. It does all of it. It makes everything about it. If the Steelers was winning, this wouldn't even be a topic. You wouldn't even be talking about it. For
especially
Antonio,
if they got in the playoffs.
yeah. Antonio Brown, you know what? He's the only player that has 6 straight 1,000-yard reception seasons right now. So I mean, he is very much talented. If we were in the playoffs, we wouldn't even talk about this. This wouldn't even be an issue. So I definitely think that a lot of the turmoil comes in. The Le'Veon not being there is a distraction too. It was a distraction all year. You got one of your best players in the NFL, and he's not in the camp. He's not playing. So all that plays a part in it. But you got to take care of business. That the last week loss coming down to being in the playoffs last week, it shouldn't even gotten to that. They took care of business with Oakland, it wouldn't be a problem. They took care of business with the Chargers, it wouldn't have been a problem. They took care of business with Denver, that would have been a problem. That's the whole AFC West. So it wouldn't have been an issue, man.
I don't know. I agree with you. It's winning cures it all. I think saying that Le'Veon Bell him being gone all season was a distraction is a little bit of a crutch. He, when he didn't show up to training camp, yeah, it's a distraction. But it got to the point where you kind of knew he wasn't coming.
Especially when Connor started doing so
exactly.
well.
And Connor was doing fine. So I think it boils down to a little bit of frustration maybe with the organization overall on how they handle contracts and contract extensions and stuff like that. And maybe, Brown's fed up because you were losing, but you were contending too. So again, it's part of his diva. I think part of it's, and we don't know how like certain players are treated too. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, maybe it's Ben and this and that.
Well, the rumor is that they voted Juju Smith as the MVP, and he got highly upset about that.
Oh, really? Wow.
So that's what
they voted him what?
They voted him the most valuable player on the team.
Oh.
And this is from the team, his own teammates. So I think he got a little bit heated about that, and that's what started all this. But to a certain extent, I think it's bad for a team. You don't have your player there, your star player there, but you constantly ask the question: what's Le'Veon doing? When is he coming back? What y'all gonna do? So that does become a distraction or something.
Yeah, but I think they're they're football players, so I think it's more of a distraction when you're dealing with a teammate who's got some type of off the field big time issue. I mean, this is it's a contract thing, and all they can say is we've moved on from that. We support him if he comes, and if he doesn't, he doesn't.
I think at some point it did become that.
It did,
but it was like I think the 10th. When was the deadline? When the deadline passed,
10th game when
it
was
the 10th game. But I feel like it was way before that. I feel like when you're probably about 4 or 5 games in, you knew he wasn't coming at that point, and you had to just focus on what you.
Well, I don't know, because remember you kept hearing like those rumors, like he's supposed to be, and then like he'd be like, I didn't say that.
But it wasn't official.
It wasn't official to the media.
Yeah.
But the one thing I will say about this is Ben Roethlisberger is, in my opinion, he's wrong for going into the media and calling out his players and stuff like that. You don't need to do that in the media.
Well, not only that, but the offensive line did the same thing.
Yeah, they
but
did.
That doesn't really. I don't think that falls on Ben or the offensive line. That truthfully, that really falls on Tom.
No, I don't feel like that.
I agree. I think it falls on Tom.
You don't hear any Patriots saying stuff like that.
No, you don't. But these players, they have the freedom to talk. They are grown men, and I mean, Tom, is supposed to go in and be this dictator to say. I think he gives his players. This is why they like him. He gives his players that freedom to be themselves and not be a robot under my system. So I think that these players need to police themselves. You don't go to the media and call out any of your players like that. You want to call somebody out, you do it behind closed doors and you leave it there. We shouldn't even be knowing about this stuff. You know what I mean? So
one other note about Antonio. He's been tweeting, sending notes back to George Kittle from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Kittle wants him in San Francisco. They can afford to get him too. The other team that might be interested too might be the Colts. They can afford to do it too.
I would if I was a coach. You got T.Y.
Yeah, just to like put a bow on this. Did you hear about the little story that the ESPN gentleman that used to play for y'all defensive back
Ryan Clark.
when he was still with you guys, he had saw that that Brown was getting ready to get paid, and for some particular reason, he says like players kind of like know how money is going to affect them, and he was telling either the coach or somebody in the thing that it's not a good idea to pay him, and Brown went off, and they actually almost had like a fight about it. And it's just like crazy now that he's still going kind of crazy over a little
Yeah,
thing.
he went. You see, he went and bought this GOAT watch. You see that? He paid some jeweler who high fashion. He take care of all the celebrities. He went and paid for this GOAT watch ring made of a goat. It's supposed to be
Greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this too, though. We talked about some of this being on Tomlin, him being on that sideline dressed like that on Sunday. That's on the head coach. There's no way he should have been on that sideline.
Oh, you talking about
Yeah.
I agree.
Just like Nino Brown.
I agree.
Am I my brother's keeper?
Marcus, we did let you speak on this topic, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I started out.
All right, so we're gonna actually get into the regular show like we had it scheduled planned. The first game we're gonna talk about last week, real quick, was the Colts against the Titans. Both teams were 9-6. This was the Sunday night game.
Yeah, this was the
play-in game. This was the best game was supposed to be the best game because it was so much riding on this particular game, and the Colts just came in and just blasted the Titans. It wasn't a good game, and I picked the Colts, and I was right. Mark, who did you pick?
I chose the Colts also. They just manhandled the Titans. I took the Colts.
Yeah, the only thing that made it a little closer when the Colts when he threw that pick, it was like 7-7. Like, okay, it might be a game. Yeah, it wasn't a game. Marcus, who did you choose?
I picked the Colts. I don't think I even knew that Mariota wasn't going to play. I mean, so I think that's the reason why this game wasn't any good at all. Because Blaine Gabbert really threw 2 picks, 18 for 29 for 165 yards. They didn't have a shot. So
Herman, were you also with the Colts?
Yeah, I had the Colts too. Nothing really to be said. Like you said, Mariota not playing was the big key factor.
So the next game we're going to talk about was the Browns against the Ravens. The Ravens needed this game to get into the playoffs. If they had lost this game, then the Steelers had a chance to take the place. This was actually a really good game. The Browns did come to play. They tried their hardest, but in the end, the Ravens did pull this one out. Herman, who did you pick?
Yeah, I went with the Ravens on this one. They were home. I thought the Browns was going to definitely make it a game, but the Ravens had way more to play for, and they wanted that playoff spot. They wanted that division. So,
Mark, who did you choose?
I was rooting for the Brownies on this one. My heart and my head was wrong on this one. The spike in the game, they had a questionable call when Lamar Jackson reached over the goal he thought, but there was a premature whistle. That was a touchdown for Cleveland. I'm not sure if that would have won the game for them, but I know one thing, it would have gave them a whole heck of a lot of momentum. I thought they got robbed with not getting able to score that touchdown. But nevertheless, Cleveland played a good game. It came down to the wire, to the end. Ravens won. They in the playoffs. We out. So it's it.
Marcus, did you see Hugh Jackson on the sideline?
no, it's he was in Cincinnati.
I'm just teasing, Marcus. I'm just teasing. Who did you pick?
I picked the Ravens. Like I said, the Ravens. I think they're hot right now. They're probably the scariest team in the AFC. I don't really think anybody want to see them right now. I give props to Cleveland. They managed to turn things around. I think Baker Mayfield, he broke the rookie record for touchdowns in the season by a quarterback. But he had 3 touchdowns. He also had 3 picks, which you can't be doing that. Hopefully, he cleans that up during the offseason. But speaking of that touchdown with Lamar Jackson, did it look exactly like the play that Saquon Barkley?
Yeah,
but Saquon did cross the goal.
Yeah, he
Saquon did cross.
He did. He went clearly across the goal. Yeah.
And Lamar, I looked at that play. It
was definitely questionable.
It was really close. I think the NFL needs to come up with some type of technology that they can put in the ball across the goal line.
Oh, okay.
And then the ref,
because they do have those cameras now on the goal
they're
lines.
so low.
But the ref who threw his hand up was the one way on the far side.
That's all. They always do.
Yeah.
That. It's the one that can't. It's like you couldn't see that.
Right.
So in this game, I had also picked the Ravens. So the only one that didn't pick this one right was Mark. So the next game didn't really have any playoff implications. The biggest thing was the Chiefs needed to get this game to get the number 1 seed. So, I mean, it was important. and the Chiefs just rolled over the Raiders. This game, I think, was it like 28 to something in the first half?
Like 28.
Yeah, it was 21 to 3 in the first half.
Okay. I know every time, and then Holmes did throw for 50 touchdowns in this league and over 5,000 yards. So he tied Peyton Manning for that that achievement. Marcus, who did you have?
I picked the Chiefs. Ain't no way in the world I was picking the Raiders.
All right. Herman, who did you choose?
I went with the Chiefs too.
Mark,
the Chiefs. It was a unanimous.
I picked the Chiefs. We all were right on that one. The next game we're going to go through real quick was the Jaguars at the Texans. Now, the Texans did need to win this game to win the division. The Jaguars really had nothing to play for. In this particular game, I picked the Texans. The Texans did what they had to do. Mark, who'd you pick?
I took the Texans also.
Herman?
Texans.
Marcus?
I took the Texans, of course. I picked them to win the division, so I'm always going with them.
And you were right on that one. Mm-hmm. So the last game was another game that one team needed to win to get in. The other team was trying to play for something, didn't really have to, was kind of hoping to get to the number 2 seed. So this was the Chicago Bears at the Minnesota Vikings. The Chicago Bears came in there, played their starters throughout the game, dominated the game on defense, made Kirk Cousins look like the old.
He was
Kirk
still
Cousins.
with the Redskins.
Yeah. And just still has not won a big game like he ever. I don't think he ever will, but every time he turn around, when it comes to where he needs it, he just doesn't. He comes up slow. Now, was it all Kirk Cousins' fault? Absolutely not. But you always put most of the blame on the quarterback. On this particular game, I did pick it wrong. I thought the Vikings were going to come out and put a better show up, but the Bears are just a superior team. So I picked this one incorrect. Marcus?
Well, I did pick the Vikings, but for the record, I thought the Bears were going to win. I just didn't want Philly in. But like you said, everything you said, Brian, the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, he was 20 of 33 for 132 yards and 1 touchdown. He really, he didn't lose the game. He didn't do anything to win the game. But, they also, the Vikings couldn't get their running game going. They only had 63 yards rushing. So you're not going to beat the Bears like that. And, the Bears defense is just, just so powerful. And Mitchell Trubisky, he didn't do that much. He only had 18 for 26 for 163 yards. But when you have a defense like they got, then, it is what it is. You don't have to do too much.
And Herman.
Yeah, I had the Vikings too. I picked them because I really thought that they were going to win. I knew the Bears. I felt like the Bears didn't have that much to play for, and the Vikings, it was a win and get in type situation. Like can't run the ball, you can't win. This time of year, and that's going to be their biggest thing. I think in the offseason is cleaning up and getting that offensive line stronger again. I think we're going to see a different Vikings team next year. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more.
Did they release their offensive coordinator?
Yeah, they did, but they did good when they replaced him with the quarterbacks coach. The first couple of games, the offense looked different. It looked better.
Because apparently he was the offensive coordinator, and then he lost his job to this new guy they brought in, and then they gave it back to him. So those were the games from last week.
And then to get to choose mine.
We already know you picked, Mark. You picked the Bears.
I took the Bears. Did you guys see the Kirk Cousins arguing with Thielen on the sideline? He made it adamant that somebody ran the wrong route.
But that's just frustration and anger coming out because what you were aspiring to, and then Kirk has a lot of pressure on his back with that $84 million contract. But hey, man, you signed on the dotted line, so you got to pay the price.
I think next year they're going to definitely have to put some emphasis on the offensive line. Kirk didn't have any time back there to pass.
I mean, but it is the Bears, so I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah. All right, so those were the games that we picked last week. So we did pretty well on those. We're now going to jump into this new playoff scenario going on.
Wild card weekend.
Wild card weekend, exactly. So we're going to start the games as they come on. The first game comes on Saturday at 4:15. And that is the Colts versus the Texans. Colts ended up with a 10-6 record, came in second place. Texans 11-5, won the division. Colts are giving up 2 points in this game. The Texans are giving up 2 points in this game. And I think that's mainly because it's home. Because truly, this is more like a pick'em game. I mean, these teams are really good. The Colts are hot right now. The Colts are rolling on everybody. Their offense is I was surprised when I looked at the stats, but their offense ended up number 20 total offense. But they had to get the last 4 or 5 games they've been rolling people, averaging about 107 yards a game. The Texans do have the number 3 ranked defense. They only given about 82.7 yards a game, and the number 3 overall defense giving a little under 300 yards a game. In this particular game, it's going to be tough. I want to pick the Texans, but truth be told, I think the Colts are going to win this game, so I'm going to go with the Colts. Marcus, who you picking?
Well, I picked like I said before, I picked the Texans to win the division, so I'm staying behind the Texans. Both these teams are. It's going to be a good game. They're both evenly matched. They split the games they played this season. And both games were decided by 3 points. One of them went into overtime, and
the first one went in overtime.
Yeah,
that's the one where he had that questionable call and went for it on 4th down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like I said, these are very evenly matched teams. The Texans are 11th in points per game, while the Colts are 4th, and the Texans are 4th in points per game against, while the Colts are 10th. So they're like the exact opposites, almost. It will be a very good game, be very close, but I'm going to go with the Texans. I believe in Deshaun.
Deshaun.
I thought he changed his name. I mean, if you want to change his name, we can start calling him Deshaun.
Deshaun.
Herman, who you got in this game?
Well, I mean, it's all good. The stats that you put out, and Brian put the spread stats out. The spread stats. But I'm just going to roll with the Texans because they're the home team. A lot of times, you get these, you get home games for a reason in the playoffs. And the Colts are definitely hot, and this is a divisional game, so it can go either way. And that's why I'm rolling with the Texans. I just feel like they have the advantage of being at home. You're supposed to have the advantage at home, and I believe they have that. So,
did any of y'all hear that stat about that Watson's been sacked like 60-some times
this
year?
This year?
Yeah, 60-some.
He's the highest. He's the highest quarterback that's been sacked the most.
And that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
He's got him. Yeah. And then in the opposite of that, I think Andrew Luck is like one of the least sacked.
They changed that offensive line, and at the beginning of the season, he was getting tore up, and they changed it up, and then he, like you said, he was like the least sacked.
Yeah.
Mark, who you picking?
This is a close one. This is a tough one. If you look at the coach earlier season, you would have said, "Oh well, poor Andrew Luck. He came back. They're not going to do too good." They started out with 0-3, 0-4.
Did they start 1-5 or something like that?
Yeah, 1-5.
Yeah, they started pitiful. But then all of a sudden they had turned it around and they became hot. The Texans, they finally Deshaun plays for the postseason. With that, and plus they playing at home, I think I'm gonna take the Texans on this one. I'm going with Texans.
So it looks like I'm blowing wolf in this one. So ow! We're gonna move on to the next game. The next game is the Seattle Seahawks versus the Dallas Cowboys. Both teams ended up 10-6. Cowboys did win their division. The Seahawks came in second. They are the highest wild card seed. This is a game where these two teams are basically mirror images of each other. They both want to run the ball. Seattle's number 1 in rushing offense. They're averaging 160 yards a game. The Cowboys are number 5 in rush defense. So they're only giving up 94.6 yards a game and the number 7 overall defense. But both of us want to run the ball. Both teams want to limit their quarterbacks passing, eat the clock, time of possession, and win the game with a field goal at the end. Of course, I'm not going to pick against my Cowboys in the playoffs, so I'm going with the Cowboys. I'm only doing it because it's my heart, and I can't root against them. So go Cowboys, and we're going to go to Marcus.
Well, you already know. I did pick the Cowboys to win the division, but that's all I'm going to give them. That's it. They're done. One and done. I'm picking the Seahawks. Like you said, I think they're two very evenly matched teams. If I'm not mistaken, I believe in the first game they played this season with the Seahawks won. I believe Zeke, he got to eat. I think he got over his 100 yards, got what he needed, and they still lost. So this is going to be a very close game. It's going to be a very hard-fought game. I don't think it's not going to be any blowouts. It's going to be very close. But just on GP, I got to go with the Seahawks.
Just so that you know this too, Mark, the Cowboys are 7-1 at home, and the Seahawks are 4-4 on the road.
I don't give a damn.
Just go ahead and let you know the statistics. They're just in my head. Who are you picking, Mark?
This game, both teams are Dallas is playing. The first game they played against them, they didn't have Amari Cooper. They have Cooper now. In the first game, Seattle had Earl Thomas, and they don't have Earl Thomas now. So anyway, they're playing in Dallas. One thing about Seattle, I think they got the edge a little bit slightly because I think they're coaching the quarterback and Russell Wilson is a little bit more precise or more in tune than what Dallas is. With that, I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks to be victorious in this particular game.
Herman.
Well, like you guys said, both the teams are pretty evenly matched. Seattle will get the nod when it comes to the quarterback and probably the coaching too. I think Dallas gets the nod when it comes to defense, when it comes to the running back, and actually when it comes to the wide receiver. Cowboys corners have been playing outstanding. One of the keys to this is going to be being able to contain Russell Wilson, and when he does get to scrambling around, the corners need to stay on their man. If they can stay on their man with the speed of our linebackers and our DNs, I think they can contain Russell Wilson. And I think Chris Richard, our defensive coordinator, that's not what his title is, but he is the defensive coordinator. I think that he's going to be a key factor with this. I think we'll be better prepared. We are definitely a different team than we were when we played them the first game. And we turned the ball over 2 times, and we lost 24-13. So I'm in Dallas at home. Like you said, it's 7-1. So of course I'm rolling with Dallas. I think it'll be a close game. I think maybe Dallas wins by maybe 7. The defense stops Seattle. At the end of the game while they're driving, trying to tie the game up.
Real quick, last week, Dallas was sitting a lot of their starters. Did DeMarcus Lawrence play?
Yes,
he did play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The defense didn't sit a lot of starters. Actually,
I just didn't remember. I saw a lot of tacos, and I saw.
You must have missed when he caused the fumble
interception
thing, and Woods caught the ball. They looked like it was going to be an interception. They called it a fumble.
Okay.
Yeah, he caused it.
Okay. All right. So we all got our choices on that one. That game we done split. So the next one is a Sunday night. It's a Sunday game. This is the Chargers versus the Ravens. This is another rematch game. Matter of fact, all 3 of these games so far have been rematch games.
Mm-hmm.
The Colts and Texans, this is their 3rd time around. Seahawks Cowboys will be the 2nd, and the same thing for the Chargers. Chargers did end up 12-4, but came in 2nd place. The Kansas City Chiefs won that division. The Ravens did win their division again last week with that one victory, went 10-6. Ravens giving up 2.5 in this particular game, mainly because of their home team. This is the number 2 rushing offense in the Ravens. The Ravens are averaging 152.6 yards a game. Chargers are number 2 overall offense, averaging 421.1 yards per game. Last time these 2 teams met each other, it wasn't good for the Chargers. First play of the game, quarterback Rivers those pick, and that was all she really wrote from there. The Ravens running game and that quarterback is getting better and better with each win. It's going to be a tough one. We're going to let Mark pick this one first.
As you said, this is the 2nd time in matching up. I think the Chargers really had this unfortunate turn of events. They fumbled in the last drive, which basically gave the Ravens that victory. But this is the 2nd time they've seen them, so I think they got a lot of film to study on Lamar Jackson. With that said, I'm going to take the Chargers on this one. I think Chargers are going to go into Baltimore and take care of business this time.
Marcus, how do you feel about this game?
Well, like you said before, the Ravens, their run game is unbelievable right now. They're 2nd in rushing yards, 2nd in rushing a game. But it's the defense is going to make a difference. Right now, the Ravens are 2nd in points per game against, and the Chargers are actually 7th in points per game on offense. So I just think Baltimore is really hot right now. There's like some magic going on up there in Charm City, and I think they'll beat the Chargers once again. I just don't think the Chargers can do it. Like I said before, I think everybody right now should be scared of the Ravens in the AFC. You don't really want to play them in the playoffs. I'm picking the Ravens.
What kind of score do you think, Marcus?
Eh, I think it'll probably be a high scoring game. I think the Chargers. I mean, I think the Ravens are going to rush a lot, like they've been doing. They're going to hold on to the ball. The defense is going to come in, cause turnovers. Like it's going to be like almost a mirror image of the game they just had recently. I think it'll be a high scoring game. I can't give you an exact score, but I think it'll probably be the highest difference, marginal difference of the week.
And victory, you mean? Like by victory margin?
By points.
Okay. Okay. All right, Herman, who you going with?
I'm rolling with the Ravens. I haven't liked what I've seen from the Chargers the last couple games. Phillip Rivers is throwing a couple picks here and there, which he's prone to do. That Ravens run defense, their run game, like you said, it's ridiculous. And I was just looking at the weather for Saturday's game. They played Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday.
Oh, they played Sunday. Okay. Well, that might not make a difference then.
The rain will be clear.
Yeah, the rain will be clear, but I'm rolling with the Ravens. They're at home. The Chargers, they're not a dome team, but they're a warm climate type team. So, a little cool weather out here. The pads get to popping. Roll with the Ravens.
So I was watching the NFL channel earlier in the game, and they were showing some of the highlights of that game last week. The week that the Ravens and the Chargers played, and the Chargers had some opportunities that they missed. They showed a play where Rivers could have thrown the ball that actually the Browns took out of their page and scored a touchdown against the Ravens last week. I think the Chargers are the better team. Offensively, I think not defensively, but I think they got enough with Bosa back. I think they need to get that running game going. Hopefully, their running back is much better than he was the last time he played. I just got a feeling that the Ravens' day is done, and truly, it's really only one hit to Lamar Jackson, and their season is over. But you got to give props to this coaching staff, the way they changed this total offense around in order to be this successful. But I'm going to go with the Chargers, so we need to hear something from you, Mr. Trickler.
I just gave you one.
No, we need to hear something else.
Oh.
So the last game we're going to go over is the final game, the Sunday night game. This is the Eagles against the Bears. Eagles 9-7 had to get a win and a loss by Minnesota, which they accomplished to get into the playoffs against the Chicago Bears, who again beat up on the Vikings and let the Eagles get into the playoffs. Yeah. So the Eagles sent them a tweet thanking them for getting them in the playoffs.
Really?
They did.
Oh, okay.
They actually did. Eagles, you look at their statistics, they're like the number 14 offense, 23 in defense. Defense gives up 366.2 yards a game. The last time I checked, didn't they lose all their corners sometime this year?
Pretty much.
Aren't they all like backups in this game?
Yeah.
They're going against the number 3 ranked overall defense and the number 1 run defense. And although there's Nick Foles and all this Nick Foles magic, and he is playing in this game, he's going to play injured. I just don't see it happening, man. With that Bears defense and them shutting down the run, Nick Foles doesn't get the play action. He doesn't get the RPOs. Give me the Chicago Bears. Herman, who you going with?
Yeah, I'm first of all, I can't even believe the Eagles made it into the playoffs. Okay.
They played the Skins and
no, seriously. Everybody's talking about the Eagles magic and this, but they haven't beat anybody. Okay. You look at some of the games that they lost. They lost to the Saints, lost to the Cowboys recently.
Yeah.
They beat the Redskins.
Did y'all sweep them this year?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
They beat, I can't remember who the other team was they beat. And Mick Foles, magic, blah, 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 blah.
They beat the Texans.
They did beat the Texans. Okay, yeah. Khalil Mack's going to get one good hit on them ribs, and then Nick Foles' magic is going to be on the sideline. Okay?
And then you got Nate Sitfield.
Nate Sitfield in there.
Nate Sitfield. Whatever. I'm going with the Bears. I don't even think this is going to be a close game. I'm going to go as far as to say that. Bears probably win by like 14.
Mark.
I think I've been saying this for quite a while. I think Chicago's goes as far as Mitch Trubisky takes them. As long as he protects the ball, allow that defense to do what they can do, they might be in the NFC Championship. I'm not sure about the Super Bowl yet, but definitely NFC Championship. They can ride it out. Philly Magic is gone. You say this a lot, but he is literally one hit away from not being in that game.
He is.
I'm going to take the Chicago Bears in that defense. The Bears.
Marcus, we're gonna hear you howl.
Hell no. like y'all been saying, the heck with this Philly Magic. It's done. It's over. I got 2 words for you. Khalil Mack. Okay? The Bears. I'm going with the Bears. All
The
day.
Bears or
The
The Bears.
The Bears. The Bears.
So that is a clean sweep on that one. We hope you guys enjoy the games this weekend. So before we sign off, we do have a few things we want to go over real quick. At the beginning of the season, I think it was episode 4, we had our predictions of how we thought that how the season was going to turn out. What we did is we predicted the winners of the divisions, and then we also picked our wild cards. So just real quick, we'll run over them real fast. Herman,
real fast. I mean,
we got a little
of
time. Okay.
Yeah, we good on time this week.
So, well, we also got to get to a couple other things with it.
Yeah.
So, Marcus, why don't you read off your list and let us know how well you did?
Well, see, I picked the Rams, the Patriots, the Steelers, and the Broncos for the AFC.
Ding, 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 ding.
So obviously the Steelers and the Broncos didn't make it. I mean, I'm sorry, not the Rams. I mean, Houston, Patriots, Steelers, and Denver for the AFC. And I mean, nobody's surprised by the Patriots. I mean, that was an easy call. They won the division 10 years in a row.
Right.
Houston, like I said, I'm all in on Deshaun. I drafted him first in my fantasy league, so no surprise there. I don't know why, and I think this came up in the conversation because I think me and Herman both picked Denver, and I remember I think one of y'all, I think it was you, Brian, said, "What about them made you pick them?" And you were 100% right. I don't know what about them. maybe picked them, but I had doubts about Kansas City because I wasn't too sure
Knew what Mahomes was going to
what Mahomes was going to do, but we totally wrong on that one. And then in the NFC, I had the Rams, the Cowboys, the Falcons, and the Packers as my division winners. I was right on the Rams and the Cowboys. Probably the biggest letdown this year was the Packers. Didn't see that one coming at all. And the Falcons, thinking about it, I don't know why I picked them either. Probably should have went with the Saints. I picked the Saints and the Minnesota for my wild cards in the NFC.
You were almost close.
I was almost close, but I damn sure wasn't expecting Philly to make it back. They managed to drag their way back in there. And for the AFC wild card, I picked Cleveland and the Jags. Now, granted, Cleveland was that's part of my wild prediction of the year. They would make the playoffs, and they were close. They were in it. I think they were closer than they've been in a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the Jags, I should have known better. That was a dumb move. They were in the just because they were in the AFC Championship last year, I thought they'd be the same team they were this year, and didn't try to be the case.
Mark, how did your list go?
I think I fared pretty much the same as Marcus did. There were a couple of them I was on point with. I took the Patriots, of course. I lost out on the Steelers. I also had Houston in there. For some reason, I don't know what I was thinking about Denver. I had Denver in there too. They didn't. Houston made it, as I said. The Jags and the Chargers. The Jags didn't make it in, but the Chargers did. That was in the
Chargers
AFC.
as a wild card, or
Yes, it's a wild card team, yeah. And then as far as the NFC, I had Green Bay, Philly, Minnesota, of course, and the Falcons. So I lost out on that. But I did get in with the Cowboys.
Bing.
The Vikings didn't make it. That did say that. Oh, that did say the Eagles, right? They got in with the Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles as a wild card.
I had the Eagles as a wild card. Yeah.
Well, you were right on that one, then.
But and I forgot the left out too. The Ravens. I also had Ravens in there as a wild card team too. So
yeah, this wasn't the best choices I had either. I might have been smoking something before I got on here because in the NFC I had the Giants.
What? You had the Giants?
Yeah,
to win the divisional wild card.
To win the division.
What?
Over the Cowboys?
Yeah. I apologize, Cowboys Nation. I don't know what I was thinking. I had the Rams, which I did right. I did pick the Saints correctly. And in the North, I was smoking that Kirk Cousins crap and picked them Vikings. In the East, I had the Pats, no brainer. Had the Chargers, came close. They came in second. Who knew that what the Chiefs were going to do? Had Houston and them dumb Steelers. But I mean, in our defense, the Steelers had a chance technically. My wild cards were out of here. I had the Falcons and the Packers, which neither one of them made it. And then in the AFC, I picked the Jags. And my crazy pick was the Jets, who just fired their head coach because they did so terrible. So I didn't do that well either. Herman, did you do any better than the rest of us?
I don't know. I had for the NFC West, I had the Rams correct. I had the Cowboys for the NFC East. I had Atlanta for the NFC South, which was wrong, and I had Minnesota for the NFC North. Yep, I was smoking that Kirk Cousins. And of course, I went with the Patriots in the AFC East. I went with the Steelers in the AFC North. The AFC West, I picked the Broncos, and I think I know why we picked the Broncos. Wow. We were high on that rookie that they drafted.
Philip Lindsay?
No, not Lindsay.
Oh, the other kid.
The guy on defense.
Oh, Chubb.
No, not Chubb. This is the defensive end that we were like.
Chubb.
Okay. Yeah. And we were like, oh, they're gonna pair him with Von Miller.
Yeah.
That's why we were high on
Denver
because I picked Denver too, and then I got the Texans correct. I did okay on the wild cards. I had the Packers and the Eagles for the NFC East. I had the Jags and the Chargers for the AFC. So I had half of both of the wild cards. But yeah, I can't believe you disrespected Dallas so bad. Like that.
And you know another team none of us chose? The Chicago Bears.
Yeah, the Chicago Bears, because we all felt like we talked about whatever Trubisky.
They didn't have what you call it either.
No, right.
They had Khalil Mack. Yeah. Wait a minute. So
we did no. In your defense, you did talk up the Chicago Bears about that.
You did.
We did talk them up in that episode.
So, Brian, you didn't even pick the Cowboys for the wild card?
Nah.
What the? How you a Cowboys fan?
That's kind of amazing.
I was upset about the last season, and I still wasn't sure about.
But what made you go with the Giants? I guess because you went with the nobody repeats thing.
Yeah, and then the Giants, right? The Giants are supposed to be getting back all their defensive players. They had Saquon Barkley, Odell was coming back. Right. Yeah, so they was.
I can see that.
So are we going to pick who we going?
Well, hold up. I want to know how did we all drink that Jaguars Kool-Aid?
Because of last season? Because they made.
We should have known better. They're the Jaguars. What were we all thinking?
Nothing had changed with them. They didn't lose anything.
No, that's the thing. They still have Blake Bortles. Who were we thinking?
We all put them in my wild card.
And they almost made the Super Bowl. I mean, they played the Patriots really hard that AFC Championship game. They played them really hard.
Yeah, I think that alone is what had us thinking that they'll be back there. But
So are we going to pick who we think we're going to see in the conference championships, or I'm not going to do that yet?
No, I think we're going to hold
just pick it
as a week goes.
Yeah,
we can't pick after next week. We already know.
I don't think we're really going to pick that. We're just going to pick the games.
Next week we pick the games, and then there'll be the same thing as picking who we think is going to be in there.
Oh yeah, you're right. I guess that would be. Yeah, I guess that would be.
So another couple hot topics we're going to talk about. Last week we had a conversation at the end of the show about all the coaches that we knew were on the hot seat and possibly had a chance to falter and lose at their job. And a lot of the ones we talked about were correct. Mark, you want to go over that list again?
Yeah, we had there was 11 coaches that we were questioning whether or not they were going to still be there. 8 of them lost their jobs,
and one still in limbo.
Who's that?
That would be
Joe Gruden.
Oh.
The Jets got rid of Bowles. We knew that was coming. The Cardinals got rid of Steve Wilkes. Bengals got rid of Marvin Lewis, which is interesting. They are interviewing Hugh Jackson for that coaching spot right
You know why?
Marvin Lewis.
Marcus was talking about this. He was actually the succession plan to Marvin Lewis before he went to Cleveland.
And Marvin Lewis gave him high praise.
Assistant in Cincinnati.
Right.
Yeah, he was offensive coordinator. He was.
He started out. He was
Jay
a wide receiver coach.
Okay.
Then he moved up.
Yeah, because he was Jay Gruden before Jay Gruden.
He was the succession plan, but then Cleveland came along
and
he went to Cleveland.
Wow.
And then the article I was reading, they said that the Bengals they stick with familiarity. So that's why they brought him back immediately when Cleveland fired him. So
That's just
don't be
interesting.
surprised.
I just don't think
It's
he.
very interesting.
I just don't think you give him another shot so soon after that
I
debacle in
agree with you,
Cleveland.
I agree
You
with
can't
you.
do it.
It's Cleveland though.
Still,
And
but it was
there
so
were-
bad. It was
But he
so
was,
bad.
But there were a lot of
His
circumstances
record
behind.
is 3 and like
It's
Yeah.
Cleveland.
It is, and I mean, he didn't get to pick any of the quarterbacks he wanted. I mean, there was a lot of.
It's
So you say a lot of
Handicap
it
he
was
had.
basically the
Yeah.
organization more so.
it's Cleveland.
I mean, he should be a coordinator. You can't. I just think you can't go straight to head coach after that. After
Any
that
other
record.
team out of the 32 teams, the only one I would possibly think about would be the Bengals.
Yeah,
But that's
because they're familiar with him.
All right, we finished this list.
So,
Tampa Bay-
I guess he just wants Baker Mayfield to stare at him.
he wants to bust Baker Mayfield open is what he wants right now.
he wants revenge.
Bounty.
Hey, he don't care if he don't win no games. He win them too.
Tampa Bay Dirk Cutter. Denver Vance Joseph, we knew that. Adam Gase in Miami.
I didn't see that one coming.
Um,
It was on your list, but I think we most of us said we thought he'd step.
um,
I admit, I didn't know enough about
But-
Miami to even.
but it's crazy that the Skins have not announced that Jay Gruden is
Yeah, I don't know
staying
what's
yet.
going on.
If they haven't announced it,
Now-
he's probably staying there.
Now,
I don't know. I'm thinking that they are talking to somebody behind the scenes and
Why
trying to
would
make
you
a
just go ahead
decision
and fire him?
because they want to make sure he's going to come on
That's
board.
true.
Because there aren't a lot of.
so it's like they interested in somebody else, but they still keep him on the back
I think
burner.
they
just
have
in
like
case.
one big fish that they're trying to lure in to come and do it. If they can get him to come and sign, they're going to let Jay go. If not, they're going to stick with Jay.
If they don't get rid of Bruce Allen, there's no point in getting rid of Jay Gruden.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see that happening.
Hope
either.
it wasn't
He's not.
Lincoln Riley because he just signed an extension. He's not coming.
No, but you know who the hot big now is? Cliff Kingsbury,
Yeah.
Texas Tech.
That's what me and Mark were talking about on the way over here.
He's getting a lot of interviews. I was surprised with that because he never had that really good of a record at Texas Tech. So, but he put like 4 quarterbacks in the NFL in the last couple of years. So
Now we talked about the Jags, so they ended up hanging on to Marone, but they fired a lot of
We thought
assistants
he was
with
gonna
him.
stay. Yeah.
The other one was Dan Quinn. Same thing. He kept him around.
Yeah, and they fired both his coordinators.
yeah, they need to fight. They need to fight the
He's
OC.
actually going to take over the
Yeah, the
defensive
OC did
coordinator.
terrible.
Now we talked about this too. Do you think Greg Williams should have a shot to coach Cleveland Browns?
I think it's a mistake.
I do too, but I'm not a Greg Williams fan.
I'm not either.
way. So
But I wholeheartedly believe that they need an offensive-minded coach. They can get a good defensive coordinator. If they want to keep the continuity that they have with Greg Williams, they'll promote like maybe his linebackers coach or something like that.
To keep
Stay as,
that.
as the defensive coordinator, and you come in with a good offensive-minded head coach who can have a good offensive coordinator. And the reason I say that is so that if your offensive coordinator starts to slip a little bit, the offensive head coach, who has the same philosophy usually as their offensive coordinator, he can get the train back.
Now you know
on the
that
right
they already
track.
brought in Baker Mayfield's college coach up there.
That's who took over the
Right.
OC right now.
So I think he kind of already had that kind
They
of
brought in who?
already in it.
Lincoln Riley was his college coach.
No, another assistant. It was another assistant that was
Okay.
who worked with him when he was in college. I think Greg Williams should get a shot. I really do. I think he should. I think Cleveland
I think he's something back.
they are talented and they play hard as heck. They
The
were
defense
in, every game, man.
They were. I'll give you that.
I mean,
but
the offense played hard too. They were playing hard.
I just feel like
They had a chance, like you said in that game. I mean, they had a chance to send Baltimore home.
Yeah.
And that would have been like the 4th year in a row Baltimore lost the last game not to get in the playoffs or something like that.
yeah. But you just look at I don't know what Greg Williams' record is as a head coach.
It's mediocre. It's
Yeah, I
it's
just
not spectacular.
No.
Well, I think McCarthy is set to interview with them tomorrow. So
yeah, he is. I heard that. Yeah.
So, I mean, is he getting any other run with any other teams?
the Jets
Greg
too.
Williams. Greg Williams.
Oh, Greg Williams.
I've only heard his name.
Coming up on the
Yeah.
list.
So that's got to tell you something too.
Yeah.
I mean, there are eight jobs out there right now.
And,
Possibly
and
not.
teams are already reaching out for who they want to talk to. And I had, 3 teams have reached out to try to talk to Chris Richard from the Cowboys
Yeah.
already.
Yeah,
So, and I mean,
Can they do that while he's still in the playoffs?
they
Yes,
can
but
request, but
they-
they're not
they
going to do it until
request-
after the playoff game.
Right. They requested interview and they can set it up after the playoffs.
And then, I mean, you're hearing Mike McCarthy, you're hearing, Cardinals, you're hearing Browns, you're hearing these team names. I'm not hearing Greg Williams' name come up.
Yeah,
on
that's
anybody's
true.
list.
Yeah,
That's true.
So what are the last two on your list?
I was asking about Mike Tomlin and when we knew about John Harbaugh. He ended up taking his.
Oh, we didn't talk about Joe Philbin.
Philbin,
You
yeah,
you should get a
Green
chance
Bay.
for in Green Bay, Marcus.
I mean, I don't know. He had a trouble record in Miami, but I mean, he didn't have Aaron Rodgers in Miami, so I don't know. So the Green Bay they need to be in rebuilding mode. They need to rebuild. This last season, the last 2 seasons were pretty bad. And if Rodgers is going to win a Super Bowl before he retires, they need to do something really quick. So I don't know. I believe you got to go on a record, and I don't know. Philbin was terrible in Miami, so I would say no.
Yeah. How many more years do you think Green Bay gets out of Aaron Rodgers?
Two.
How old is he? Is he 35?
No. Yeah.
I said 2.
No, I would say at least 4.
If you're not going to get at least 4, you can't do any type of rebuilding with Aaron Rodgers there at the helm.
Although he has been somewhat injury prone the last couple
He
of years.
has. You have to just add pieces if you plan on him staying around for. I guess that's the question: is how long do you think he's going to be there? Because how far away do you think you are? They're definitely not 1 or 2 players away. So
The defense is getting old.
yeah, do you go with a older coach, kind of ride out this next 2 to 3 years, and then you start your rebuild with a young coach, or do you go with a young coach now, get a little bit of a disgruntled?
I don't know if you can.
Rodgers?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if you're going to be able to put a young coach in there with Aaron.
It's
This scenario kind of reminds me a little bit when Peyton was in Indianapolis, and they were searching for a new coach, and they were worried about, well, we didn't want to change anything around Peyton. Let's get somebody who fits Peyton style. Who I think that runs the same.
But they went with Caldwell.
with Greenwell. What's that?
They went with Caldwell.
But he was familiar with that system. He didn't want to change anything with that. I think the same thing with Green Bay. They want to find somebody who's more fit for Aaron Rodgers.
So then you think
than
Philbin
anything
should
else.
stay? You think Philbin should get the job?
I think he's familiar with the system.
What did he do when he took over? What was their record after he took over for the rest of the season?
I think he won 1 game, didn't he?
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
Yeah.
They won 1 game. I mean, and they talk about Josh. They talk about Josh McDaniels.
I heard that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's another one. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like him for some reason.
I have to say I don't like him too, but it's more personal reasons than anything else.
Because Tim Tebow ran all over the Steelers.
That's not a fair assumption of him.
And McDaniel, I think they would clash bad.
Probably so. I think Aaron Rodgers would clash with everybody. Who would he get along with?
Joe Philbin.
I don't know.
What about Bruce Arians? Should Bruce Arians go to Green Bay?
I don't think he's getting his name's not
he
getting
was
out there.
talking about the
Cleveland.
He said he would.
and then there's another job.
Arizona.
No, he already had
No,
Arizona.
he put Arizona, right.
Oh, you're right. The Bucks. Yeah, the Bucks.
But
I
he
thought
did,
that was interesting.
Bruce Arians did say he would come out of retirement if he could coach the Cleveland Browns. He did say that.
He did.
I heard the Bucks
He
have reached
did
out
say
to
about
him.
the Bucks too. He did say he was interested in that.
Why the Browns? Why you say the Browns?
I think part of it was that's what he got to start with as far as coaching.
Expectations are low. That's what.
But I mean, they got a lot of talent, man. They got a lot of talent to work with.
I mean, his offense is high powered. And Baker's.
And I think that he's in love with Baker Mayfield. Yeah, he's in love with him.
To be honest with you, I think he would do a great job with the Bucks too, because a lot of his stuff is downfield.
The Bucks, their offense just needs a few tweaks.
Yeah,
And they get their defense straight.
yeah.
And you stick with a quarterback. I think that's what killed Cutter. As bad as Winston got at times,
Yeah.
you can't keep doing that
flip-flop,
flip flop,
right.
man. You can't do it.
They had the number 1 offense doing something this year. I forget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were in. I mean, I think they're still like number 3. I think they ended up like
What
number
the
2 or number 3.
yardage
per game.
some yardage a
Yeah.
game or
It
something?
was crazy, ridiculous. That's why I think you get. Yeah, he could come in there. Arians, he could come in there and make them a contender immediately.
Mhm.
You know, it's gonna be interesting to see where some of these people are. How you feel about the Cardinals, though? I feel like they didn't give Wilkes a chance at all. This dude had 1 season, man.
I think they saw the writing on the wall and knew they made a mistake. I think they're there every day. They can see behind the scenes. They see how he's running practices and doing all the coach type things. And I think they just knew that they had made a mistake. So I think they wanted to cut ties as quick as possible.
What about that?
I
GM?
don't think it was racially motivated.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
No, I'm
But
just throwing that out there.
that GM, he needs to pay for that crazy contract that he gave Sam Bradford, and he hired Wilkes
Okay.
because the owner
Yeah,
said he's
I
going
think
to make
so.
the decision this time. So why is that GM? I think he got
Was Bradford signed and then they drafted, or was Bradford signed after? He was signed
No,
before.
he was signed before.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
he signed before.
Okay.
Then they drafted.
and I think the GM actually he got promoted. I think actually to like football operations or something like that. Somebody else do personnel stuff, but he didn't lose his job. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like you couldn't have gave him one more year. Rookie quarterback. There were a lot of injuries.
I mean, I think they pulled the plug a little early on him. Yeah, I think when you get a young coach in like that, I think at least a 3-year would probably be a true tale.
Yeah.
Because
You got to implement your system and get people the players to buy in. You can't do that in 1 year.
What do you think, Marcus?
About what, Arizona?
Yeah.
I was young.
Brian Phillips.
I mean, it's terrible. He only got 1 year, but it's the NFL. It is what it is.
It's a win now
You
league.
can't run your team like that. You'll find yourself. You'll never get into where you get longevity if a guy like if I'm the next coach going to Arizona, the pressure is super on. I might only get 1 year.
I'm gonna make sure I get that deal signed off for 5 years.
Well, yeah, so they can fire me. But
Right.
it's just like, and then as the players, it's like, I don't listen to you for. You can be gone in a year anyway.
You know who they should bring back. I think if I'm correct, the person I had the most success with is currently the Chargers OC coordinator.
Winston Hunt.
Yeah, they should bring him back. I always liked Winston Hunt. I thought
Yeah,
They should bring him back.
he's pretty good coach.
He is, but I think he needs a veteran quarterback. I don't know how well he could. But then I guess he did. He was with y'all too, wasn't he? With Ben?
He
he was the OC.
He was an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Ben drove him out of there too.
And look, that's all the more reason. That's all the more reason to get a young coach.
No, he left for promotion. He was getting promoted, Marcus.
No, y'all know Ben drove Winston Hunt out of Pittsburgh.
Didn't drive him out of here. He got promoted. He got the Arizona job.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
I thought it was in reverse. I thought but it was all the way okay.
Sounds good.
So one other topic we wanted to have a conversation is should you or should you not pay your top quarterback all this money? There was an article where they were talking about the top six quarterbacks in the NFL, and none of them are in the playoffs. You got Rodgers, you got Ryan, you got Cousins, you got Garoppolo, you got Stafford, you got Derek Carr. All these guys just signed big contracts, hindering their team to be as successful as they are.
None of them in the postseason.
And none of them in the postseason. Now, there are a few in the postseason that signed big contracts, like Russell Wilson,
Right.
the Chargers quarterback,
Phillip
Rivers. He paid a pretty nice contract. And then Ben, well, he's not in the playoffs, so you can't. But the Ravens have Joe Flacco on the bench, but they're trying to purge that because they felt like partly that was the reason why they haven't been as successful as they could. So with Lamar Jackson, they'll be able to rectify that by next year. The only other one is Tom Brady, but Tom Brady takes team-friendly deals, so he doesn't really count.
Wasn't Bortles a big contract too?
Yeah, Bortles had a big contract.
Bortles just signed a big contract this year, and they didn't make the playoffs either. So what do you guys think? Do you think that you should sign your quarterback to this big money, or?
Well, I'm gonna give you my opinion. I'm gonna look at it like this: you got 32 teams in the NFL, right? There's only about 10 to 15 top-tier quarterbacks. You get,
Top tier? 15?
I'm gonna say 15. I'm gonna say about 15. Top, if it's that many. I'm
Like
just
franchise quarterbacks that can.
that you would pay.
Right.
There's about 15 that you'll pay. And when you get one of these top 15, there's maybe only top 10 truthfully in the league all the time. But when you get one, you have to pay them just because of the sheer numbers of it. People don't give away top quarterbacks. You can sign away some of these top receivers. You can sign away top running backs. Kirk Cousins was like the only big top quarterback that you've seen probably hit the free agent market in a long time.
True.
It's all about the numbers. You almost don't have a choice but to pay.
Matter of fact, the only other one on this list that is Garoppolo.
Yeah.
And actually, he got signed at a low number, and then they
Exactly.
gave him his
You almost don't have a choice.
That's true.
You're almost handicapped that you have to do it.
That's true.
It does seem to show a pattern that once you make that deal, that you hinder your that quarterback has to do everything at that particular point.
Mm-hmm.
He has to be above and beyond. He has to take you. He has to be at least worth 2 to 3 wins a season.
He is
Him
literally your
alone.
franchise.
Yeah.
Right. He has to be. If he's not, then your squad is going to suffer. I mean, you just saw Stafford just got a monumental contract. You saw how well they did this year. I mean, you're looking at Cousins. Cousins didn't make the playoffs. The highest paid quarterback in the league. Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan actually has a good squad and still didn't do what they had to get done. So it's a scary proposition. It seems like now with the way that the rules have changed, a lot of these rookie quarterbacks are coming out of the gate doing very well, almost well enough for you. If you have a strong defense and a good running game, that's almost enough for you to get into the playoffs. A lot of Dallas Cowboys.
They miss so much. You miss
The
so
Cowboys
much.
you didn't pick to win the division or make the playoffs, by the way.
But you miss so much on these quarterbacks, in the draft. Like you said, yeah, some of them are coming out, but then there's so many misses. You just can't afford to make that gamble and go, you know what? They're like if you're Green Bay right now.
I guess, but look at Stafford. I mean, what has Stafford done?
Exactly.
He hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
He hasn't. But maybe he's a miss.
All
He's
these
a miss
quarterbacks on
the
this
pay.
list, only one of them has won a Super Bowl.
And only 2 of them really got any real wins. None of them have got any real wins, and you paid them all that money.
Well, see, that's some of this.
Forget them.
teams.
You got to forget them stats. You got to go with wins. I don't care what Kirk Cousins' stats are.
Yeah,
Ryan got him in the Super Bowl.
did.
Okay, Cousins, yeah, they probably paid too much. But again, it's the numbers and it's the market. Like you're handicapped that if you want one, you got to pay way too much for it.
In Cousins' case, we can blame the skins for his market being the way it is, being great.
Exactly. You franchised him for 2 years in a row. He made $40
And
million.
he can't do it anymore. He can't franchise it anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what drew that one up. So I kind of agree with you a little bit that part of it is it's the nature of the business on how they run it to a quarterback in some sense. But you have to have a franchise quarterback
You do.
to
You
basically
I
think
mean,
you're going to make it.
Think about
in
these teams that
postseason.
have gone through this quarterback hell. Think about Cleveland. Think about Dallas before Tony Romo came up out of nowhere, and then now Dak.
Well, then let me really do this. Okay, so we got all right. So in the playoffs right now, we got the Colts and the Texans.
Mhm.
They both have franchise quarterbacks.
Yes.
One that's still on his rookie deal. Didn't Luck sign a pretty big contract?
He did.
Luck signed a pretty big contract. The next one, Seahawks and the Cowboys. Russell Wilson signed a pretty big contract. Cowboys got their quarterback still on a rookie deal. Chargers and the Ravens. Chargers has a franchise quarterback in Phillip Rivers. The Ravens are using their rookie that they just signed, but
they have a high price
they do
one
have a
sitting
high
on the
price
bench.
one.
Right.
And then the last two,
And he's a first round draft pick rookie.
yeah.
And they got a good defense. That's you got a good defense that offsets having to have a quarterback.
So you don't agree that you should pay the quarterback?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, if you have a good defense, I think you can spend more money on defense and get a good running game. I mean, look how do you explain Brad Johnson? How do you explain how do you explain the Ravens? What's his name? Trent Dilfer.
But
Anomalous.
Marcus, you
And then what if the Ravens make the Super Bowl again this year, and Lamar Jackson has only thrown over 200 yards like once since the game
First round
started.
draft pick.
who's your favorite quarterback, Marcus?
Exactly.
Who's my favorite quarterback? Tom Brady.
Okay.
Let's start going back and looking at Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, starting with the last few years. Who won
Tom
the Super
Brady,
Bowl?
Tom Brady,
Uh-huh.
Nick
Russell Wilson.
Foles, Russell
Nick-
Wilson.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but Russell Wilson wasn't a high draft pick. He went.
No, but he's a franchise
He's a
quarterback.
franchise
he is
quarterback.
now.
They didn't know when they drafted him.
They kind of did.
Well,
He kind of took that job.
Remember, I was about to say. Remember, they
spent
had
a lot of money.
They had put a Tom Flynn. Remember him? He was a
Matt Flynn.
Matt Flynn. They paid a lot of money for him, but Russell Wilson beat him out as a rookie in training camp. So yeah, they didn't. They knew what they was getting when they got him. They was like, "Hey, this dude can play."
Well, here's the problem: you pay all the quarterback all that money. You don't got no more money to pay anybody else. And
You got to do it.
and this time of year, you need good defenses. You need good
definitely
defense.
do. But you still have to have that good. You got to have that franchise quarterback.
I think you do. You do have to pay.
I just don't think there's any way around it.
When the Steelers won their last Super Bowl, had Ben signed a contract, or was he still under his rookie deal?
He could not hit. There's no way.
I think
The last
because remember, you know what? He couldn't have been on a rookie deal. You know why? It came time for him to sign a contract when he had all that court crap that was going on. So it was a question whether that they wanted to invest it. And they did it a year before. They signed him to the year before that. So he had already been the franchise paid quarterback when they did theirs.
So I mean, it's interesting. I mean, when they brought up the article and I read it, it was kind of mind-boggling. I mean, it's almost like if he's not the right one, he's going to handicap your team.
Yep.
So, like right now with the Vikings, if Cousins isn't the right one, he's going to handicap that team for years to come.
Yeah, there it is.
So they got fooled by all them yards and all them stats, but he ain't got no.
I mean,
he ain't
still had a good
got. He ain't got no wins behind them stats.
He doesn't.
Well, he was playing for the Redskins too. So.
Whatever. Y'all gonna stop dogging out my team on the damn. Okay.
And what was the score of the game?
Which
What was
game?
the score of the final game of the Redskins?
Rick, why we talking about that? What that got to do with any damn thing?
I didn't know if you do.
What that got to do? What that got to do with anything?
Be time to sign off.
So anybody get any news on Jay Gruden? Is Jay Gruden still a coach?
I've been checking Twitter the whole time. It looks like he's still a coach.
If he's not going by now, he's still there.
Did y'all see Georgia's mascot almost got killed by Texas?
Yeah, but
Yes.
Like, y'all really thought that was a good idea?
you know, that's right. Let's put this big bull, but you can't hardly control.
I've never seen that dog move that fast.
Real quick.
All right, so I think we've covered everything we need for this particular show. Did I miss anything, Herman?
Nah, I think you covered everything.
Marcus, are we good?
I think we're good.
Mark, anything you need to say?
No, just looking forward to playoff wild
Wild
card
weekend.
weekend.
Get your popcorn popping.
I just want to say next week, Mark, can you park on the street, please? Appreciate that.
All right, so with that note, we're going to pass it on to Marcus to get us out of here.
All right, before we leave, I want to encourage you guys to like, share, and subscribe. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell icon so that you get notified whenever we go live. Give me the Twitter handle once again, Brian.
It's at delay of game 3.
It's delay of game 3. Also, want to encourage you guys to run on over to sportsintel.net for some great commentary and opinion on everything sports related. Once again, that's sportsintel.net. Happy New Year. Start the resolutions off right. Well, when we see y'all next week, we don't want you to quit all your resolutions. So, make that list and keep to it. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. We out.
2019.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.